Thank you, Alice and Andrea, for outlining the recommendations from the clinical practice guidelines that we have put into place. The resource we have developed is a guide for new graduates or speech pathologists that lack experience in the field of AAC to create functional, smart goals for clients. The development of this resource was based on the aforementioned recommendations as it champions this client-centered approach, aims to educate newly graduated speech pathologists, and acknowledges the importance of using evidence-based practice when setting goals for people with complex communication needs. This resource is in the format of a double-sided pamphlet. This was decided to be the most appropriate format for the resource, as it could be easily downloaded from the internet. This also allows for the information provided to be in a clear, concise manner and doesn't overwhelm the reader. It is important to remember that this resource is not a comprehensive manual to AAC services, but a starting point or a guide for clinicians unexperienced in the area of AAC. The resource clearly outlines the considerations that need to be taken into account when creating functional goals for clients. These considerations include client-centered care. The AAC clinical guidelines state that it is important to ensure the individual with complex communication needs and their key communication partner is involved in all stages of AAC assessment. Management and intervention. This includes all goal settings, whether it be sessional, short-term or long-term. It is important to educate the key communication partner about what goals have been set and how they can assist in implementing and achieving these. The ICF framework. The International Classification of Functioning, also known as the ICF, is a framework that provides therapists with a variety of considerations for setting functional goals. Using this framework will assist you in ensuring all goals are client-centered. The participation model. The participation model outlines a variety of opportunity and access barriers that need to be considered when setting goals and making decisions about what AAC to implement. The opportunity barriers of policy, practice, attitude, knowledge, and skill are controlled by the therapist, and the therapist needs to keep these in mind when setting any goals for their client. The access barriers are more specific to the client and need to be considered when any management options are selected. The opportunity and access barriers need to be identified in order to find a way around them. For example, if a client has a physical barrier, it is important to find an alternative way for them to assess their AAC, e.g., via eye gaze or switching. Working collaboratively in a team. When working with a client using AAC, it is important to remember that they are likely to be seeing a wide variety of health professionals, for example, occupational therapists, physiotherapists, and doctors. It is vital that all health professionals work in a collaborative manner and update each other on current and long-term goals for the client. Ideally, goal setting would be done in conjunction with all health professionals within the team working with a specific client. However, in many environments, this is not possible. Hence, it is important to keep in contact with other professionals and constantly update them with current goals. This not only ensures a collaborative approach is implemented, but also provides them with information about how to communicate with their client. Evidence-based practice. It is essential that speech pathologists follow best practice and set clients' goals according to the most relevant evidence-based practice. It is imperative for therapists to keep up to date with the ever-changing evidence base in the area of AAC, as keeping up to date will ensure the best planning and treatment can be provided to this complex population. And finally, SMART goals. When working in AAC, it is essential to ensure all goals are specific to the client and are tailored to their exact needs. When setting client-centered goals, it is also important to ensure they are SMART goals. SMART goals must be specific to clients' needs and wants for their treatment. They must have a measurable outcome to ensure clarity of when goals have been achieved. Achievable goals must be set to increase client participation. Goals must be relevant to clients' needs and be attainable in a reasonable time frame. It is also important to set both long-term goals and short-term goals. The short-term goals should be smaller steps to achieve these long-term goals. It is important to continuously adapt goals to meet the client's ever-changing needs. Although all of these factors may have been covered for graduates during their tertiary education, the resource aims to encompass all of these factors together in order take a holistic approach to AAC assessment and intervention.